I'm here in Medjugorje and I'm with, what's your name?
Liam McAvoy.
Where are you from?
Liam McAvoy. I'm from County Armagh, Northern Ireland.
Northern Ireland. First
Yes.
time in Medjugorje?
This is my third time in Medjugorje.
Why do you come back?
Well, suppose I'm only back in my faith maybe a year and 8 months ago, and the good Lord called me back again. I came out to Medjugorje first of all when I was back in my faith with a good friend Anthony Crossy and Eamon McCann. So I came out to Medjugorje last year, and I just find that Medjugorje has great peace. It has great graces in Medjugorje. There's some powerful testimonies out here. So I believe that Medjugorje brings a lot of peace around me. I like to come back out and get the batteries recharged, as people would say, just to plug back into the faith again, because we can get lost in the world back home. I do run my own business and stuff, so I would be under pressure most weeks through the stress of work. So when I need topped up again, I'm back into Medjugorje to top up with the faith again, and to get closer to the Lord and the Blessed Mother.
Beautiful. And can you tell me about your faith journey? Something happened. What happened?
Yes, so like I said, I still have my own business. I've been building it for the last 6 years, so I do believe the whole world got on top of me regarding lost in the world, drinking, partying, the stresses of work, and I ended up in bed for like 2 weeks, well, over a year ago, and that was never me, Tom. I would be quite energetic, I would be always on the go, but for some reason I was bedbound for nearly 2 weeks. My wife was very worried with me at the time, and then after that, my wife said on the last morning of the 2 weeks, she said, "Liam, we need to get you out of bed. We need to get you into the town. We need to get you out of bed. This is not you." So that leads me to the next part of the story, where I met my good friends Anthony and Eamon at a place in Lurgan where we would go to get our breakfast. We were on our way out of the place where we were having our breakfast, and I stopped to speak to Anthony and Eamon. And Anthony had just asked me, how you keeping, son? I knew Anthony from being in Lurgan. I know Anthony was away for a few years, but I had met Anthony this morning in the kitchen, he called the place, on Eamon, and Anthony, I had stopped to speak to Anthony, and Anthony said, "How you keeping, son?" And I says, "Well, I'm not great, Anthony." And he says, "Well, what's wrong with you, son?" I says, "Well," explained to him, "I've been in bed for a few weeks, sir, and it's like a slab just sitting here on top of my chest. Couldn't eat, couldn't do anything. And as I say, bedridden more or less, hadn't had anything." Anthony says, Liam looked at my eyes and he says, "Liam, I believe Jesus is calling you, son." And from that time, I had said to Anthony, "Well, it's funny you say that there. I had a little Padre Pio medal around my neck, and I lost it about 7 days ago. Maybe this is why I'm sick." And Anthony says, "Well, yes, son, Jesus is calling you." And he says, "I'm about to place something in your hand here. It's very special." He says, "And I need you to call to my house tonight, and I'm going to explain all what this is for." So Anthony then proceeded to set the Padre Pio heart bandage relic in my hand, and I knew then, when I felt the power of this relic, that Jesus was calling me. So I went to Anthony's house that night. About 5 hours, it seemed like 20 minutes, and I learnt more in those 5 hours than I ever did at school. I was a bit of a wild child at school, didn't listen, and so I learnt more in those 5 hours than I would have in school. Now, my family were in their faith way back when, but my father had a bad accident maybe 28 years ago. And suppose my family were maybe mad at God, as some families do. Maybe had no direction, and we sort of fell away from the faith. It was in around the 90s, so I would have been doing a lot of partying. The rave scene was there. So this continued for many years. So I do believe it all got on top of me eventually. We can all hide, but I mean, at the end of the day, the love and the peace that you find in your faith is exceptional. There's nothing like it. So yes, so Anthony then, that night in his house, I says, "What's next then, Anthony? What do I do next?" And he says, "Well, son, you have to go back to confessions. You have to go back to confessions. You have to empty the rucksack and get the burden off your back, more or less." So I says, "Where do I get confessions?" He says, "Tomorrow morning, Belfast Latin Mass." So next morning I was down in the Latin Mass in Belfast, I entered into the confession box and said, "Bless me, Father, for I have sinned." It's been 23 years from my last confession. And I was more or less interviewed in the confession box by the priest. And I got absolved of all my sins at the end, and I came out like a new man. So yeah, that's how I was called back into my faith then.
And what would you tell people, like especially, in Medjugorje, confession is very central.
Yes.
And you are one of the candidates who hasn't been for 23 years.
Yeah.
And there may be one listening now, they want to have what you have, and he's scared to go to the priest to tell the priest. What would you tell them?
Well, from my experience of travelling around as well, in the last year and a half, I've been around a lot of shrines, I've been to San Giovanni and stuff. So I have learned that you should not be afraid of the priest, because it's not actually the priest you're speaking to. Jesus is in the middle of both of you, so you're confessing your sins to Jesus. So you should not be afraid. Jesus is merciful, and there's no sins that he won't forgive. So do not be afraid. All the priests are approachable. They're all shepherds of God, and just go and take the plunge, because I can guarantee when you come out of the confession box, you'll feel like a new person. Yeah.
And I see you have the rosary in the hand. You pray the rosary now?
Yes, so rosary,
nice you have?
yeah. I would pray a rosary once or twice each day.
Why do you do that now?
Sorry?
Why do you do that now? Big
Well,
change.
because, suppose the rosary, I do believe it gives you protection. In the morning I go to Mass, and I would pray the rosary in Mass sometimes, or pray it before. But I do believe it sets you up well for the day ahead. It protects, it's the armour of God. It's like a sword. So we pray the rosary most days, and we also attend prayer groups back in Ireland as much as we can. So it's the armour of God, and this Our Lady says that this is being from Ireland. This is more powerful than AK-47. These are soldier beads, and these stop wars. These beads stop wars.
Absolutely, I'm convinced.
Yeah. So the rosary's powerful. The rosary is very powerful, and then obviously we need these for the men's rosary in Ireland as well, which happens on the 1st of every month, and in different towns around Ireland. So we travel around together, hundreds of men on their knees praying the rosary, evangelising for the faith back in Ireland, because there's a dark cloud over Ireland at the minute with faith, and it's been falling away. But I do believe there's a fire being lit again, and the rosary is behind it all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Our Lady crushes.
Yep.
You know the story from the end. Catholics, they know the story from the end.
Yeah.
And how can people join you to pray that rosary in Northern Ireland?
So it's on the first Saturday of each month. There is groups all around Ireland. There's WhatsApp groups.
How can somebody now? You give me the link or something?
Yeah, you can go to the Narrow Gate. It'll be shared in the Narrow Gate. You can also go to Patrick McChrystal, who would be suppose in charge of most of the rosaries around Ireland. So there's plenty of people you can contact there, or send myself a message as well, and I
will
can
put something below the video.
Yeah, below the video, and you will be able to attend these rosaries in Ireland. And this Saturday coming, which is the 3rd or 4th of June, there's an All-Ireland rally in Knock, and please God that a lot of people show up to the All-Ireland rally in Knock, because Knock is going to be a powerful shrine for the rise of the faith in Ireland again.
Amen.
Yeah,
big amen, no?
Yeah, big amen.
You have a favourite place in Medjugorje?
Favourite place in Medjugorje? Favourite place in Medjugorje? I suppose the confessions are great, because you can go there and, as I say, you lift the burden. Nobody's perfect. I still sin, I still fall, but the confessions are great. I also love we had a great experience yesterday on the mountain. We were caught in the hailstones on the mountain for like an hour. So we were praying the rosary up on the mountain yesterday while the hailstones were pelting down and the thunder and lightning. And then by the time we got to the top of the mountain, it was dry again. So we were able to proceed with our. So the Cross Mountain's a very special place as well.
Cross Mountain.
Yeah, very special place.
It's different. It's more masculine. No,
yeah.
It's a purification place.
It is beautiful. Yeah.
The other one is a place of love, and this is more purification.
Yeah. It's your penance going up it too. Sometimes, it can be tough. Yeah.
And why would you say now that you are such a fervent Catholic? What is so beautiful about your faith?
Yes, well, suppose it's brought great peace around my family, my wife, Donna, my children, Callum, Eva Rose and Ollie. They have seen a great change in me. Suppose sometimes it could be a bit heavy duty for them sometimes, and I have to just watch I evangelise, but God is working through my family as well. My wife has been back to confessions, and yes, we just continue to grow each day, and they can see a great change in me, a great peace. So yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you say through Catholic faith, much more happier.
Much more happier in the Catholic faith. Well, I've always been a Catholic, but just
now practicing. Really
I'm practicing proper, Catholic, and
you have to say honestly, if you are not a practicing Catholic, you're not a Catholic.
You're not
you
a
have
Catholic.
to speak it out.
Yeah, you have to speak it out. Yeah, so why have your baptism? Why have your confirmation? Why have your communions? If you're not following up in the sacraments, I mean, some people believe that we can just pray direct to God, but I don't believe so. I believe that you need to be going to mass. Not every day, but if you even go at least on a Sunday, and you need to have Holy Communion, you need to have confession, and you need to fight the sacraments, Yep.
Do you have a favourite saint?
Sorry?
Do you have a favourite saint?
My favourite saint is Saint Padre Pio, because he was a big part of my conversion. Through Anton, yes. So, and then travelled to San Giovanni last year as well to thank Padre Pio for being for interceding for me.
And how was the experience to be there?
It was amazing. It was an amazing experience.
What is so special there?
It was a very special place too, because everywhere you look, it's just Padre Pio everywhere. Statues, everybody's just talking about Padre Pio. And again, it's a very special place too, a very peaceful place too. And obviously getting to see Padre Pio land in state with his uncorrupt body was amazing. We got to say a lot of prayers around there, and it was just amazing. Yeah.
And at the end, what would you tell people why come to Medjugorje?
Why come to Medjugorje? Great conversions here. I mean, as you know, there's a lot of great testimonies out here, and anyone who is looking maybe to thinking about getting back into their faith, Medjugorje would be the place to come, because there's great places here from Our Lady, the Blessed Mother, and I do believe this is the main place for conversions for Catholics.
Thank you so much for that beautiful interview.
Yes, thank you, Tom.